Welcome everyone in this new video tutorial about the multiplayer combat editor. In this video we're going to learn how to use the skill modifier feature which is built in the modifiers. So first off, what is it? What is the skill modifier feature? It's basically a feature that allows us to modify any skill at runtime and modify a lot of its properties from its target, its tags, its damage, any custom properties you created for that skill, basically anything. So how do we apply that modification to a skill? You apply it through the modifiers. So it depends on how do you apply the modifiers. After that, you can apply the modifiers through passive skills, through networked modifiers, or through statuses, or through, so basically any custom system of yours can apply such a modifier, and statuses can do that, and a lot of stuff can do that. Anything you want. You can just watch the proper networked modifier video to understand how you can build your own modifier system. In this video, we're going to learn the modifier, to apply the modifier through the P key, which is going to run a server learn talent function, which is going to apply a modifier to our character, or maybe something else, we'll see. It's going to apply the modifier to a skill rather than a talent in this video. So we're going to use the networked modifier feature. So first off, we need to create the modifier we want. So let's head to our modifier folder, create a new blueprint class, which is going to be a modifier, BP modifier. Let's call that BP talent, BP talent example. For now, we're just going to open this up and bring up the event begin play. And then we want to apply that talent to our character. So we're going to need a new, we're just going to need to specify that we want to apply talent example. And in this example, it's applying the modifier to our character. And I think we can do this, I think. And I also think that we can do something like that, get active skill, and do something like this. So this is going to apply the modifier to the active skill, or you can do it like this, and this is going to apply the modifier to the character. And then you can, in the modifier, you can say find skill to modify, which is going to try to find. So I'm just going to we need to be calling this function, and we need to give the target as a target. We need to feed our character in there. So you need to feed the owner of the skill you want to modify. So in there we are adding the talent example to our character, and the talent example is trying to find a skill which is on our character. You can check that box to remember to bind if not found, which is going to say if it doesn't find the skill you are looking for, it's going to apply the modifier as soon as the character learns the skill. And we're going to search for Wololo skill, for instance, and it's going to find the skill, maybe, eventually. So you can ask, first you want to say, is the skill valid? Did it actually find the skill? If so, you're going to, maybe, so there are two things you can do. You can use the built-in modifier features to modify the skill by dragging by just typing in feature skill, and you can see you have a bunch of things. You can add cost modifier, I'm going to copy and paste that. Add cost modifier, add gameplay tag modifier, add it fx modifier, add, and that's it. So these are the three things you can call automatically. I mean, these are the built-in features. You can modify the skill fx. So if you call that and choose an fx, it's going to play that fx when you hit someone with the skill. And when you remove the modifier, it's going to turn back to the base fx it was. You can add a cost modifier. It's actually not a modifier, it's a replacer. So when you call that function, it's going to replace the cost of the skill by the costs that you specify here. So you can make an array of costs and specify costs for your skills, new costs for your skills, like this. And you can add a gameplay tag modifier, which is going to replace the current by making a bit mask, which is going to and choosing gameplay tag. And now you can specify new gameplay tags to replace the previous gameplay tags of your skill. And I think you can also update the visual of the skill. So once you've found, so these were the built-in modifier feature to modify the skill. So let's say I'm going to bring them back like this. So you can also, we're going to remove them from the execution flow for now. You can also drag a wire out of the found skill, and you can, for instance, update the icon. And you can basically modify anything you I said we want to get rid of this. You can modify anything you want. And once you're done, and so the built-in modifier features are going to be automatically reverted. The modification you do are going to be automatically reverted when you remove the modifier. But all the other modification you do, you're going to need to revert them manually by calling this event and calling and reverting manually your changes. So for instance, if you modified the icon of the skill, update icon of Wololo and calling Wololo possession, for instance, and the new description, we don't care. The new icon is going to be something different than the base icon, so we can see that it's being modified. For instance, empowered. So revert scripted change, you'll have to say, once you've found the skill, you can find it back by typing in get target skill. The target skill is the skill you found there. So you can say, you can type in icon and say reset icon, for instance. I mean, not for instance, you will need to reset the icon if you updated it this way. But these modifications, you won't have to modify them. So we're going to try to modify the hitfx modifier by something else. For instance, beam hit. And we're going to revert the icon when we revert the changes. And there is a third way of modifying your skill. Maybe you hard-coded stuff in your Wololo skill. For instance, the Wololo skill, maybe you want to create a new Boolean variable in there, which is called, I don't know. You can build up really scripted things like possession enabled and say, is possession enabled? If something like the sphere radius is going to be 300 or 100. So 300 if possession is enabled and 100 if possession is not enabled. And the talent example, so talent example is going to be called talent possession actually, so we can better understand what's going on. So, but to access, and you want to modify that property within this talent, within this modifier, and you can do that by casting the found skill into possession, for instance. By casting this into your skill, so cast to BP Wololo. And now you can modify possession and say possession is now enabled, and you'll have to revert that when you revert the changes, if you ever remove that modifier. And we can draw the box of Wololo just to see for duration. We can draw the box for 2.5 seconds just so we can clearly see that the box is bigger when you've learned the possession talent. And if you go to Wololo, there is no duration stat anywhere. And you could be modifying the duration of Wololo depending on your skill, but I'm just realizing that the duration of the status is tied to the status itself and not the skill. So you may not do that. Maybe by, yeah, you could be doing this. You could be doing this by overriding that event. So when the status spawns, when we spawn a status with our Wololo, we're going to update its duration. Not like this. We're going to stack the duration. Oh, maybe we don't. Maybe we cannot do that actually. Set initial duration. Okay, so maybe we cannot modify the duration of our status within skills, and that's something I will fix. So, but in any case, when we learn our talents, the box is going to be bigger, and we are going to apply the status Wololo, which captures the enemy we hit and turns it into our team. So this is the skill we created earlier. And we're going to modify the name of the skill when we apply that. So we want to learn the talent possession in our character, which we are already doing when we press the P key. So when we press play, if we press the P key, it's not working. Why is it not working? Because we forgot one simple thing, is to validate skill modifier. So how do you bring that up? By dragging a wire out of the found skill wire or out of your target skill, validate skill modifier, and you want to plug that at the end of the chain of events, like this. So when I press P, it's not working, but the box is bigger. So if I'm hitting, the box is small. If I'm pressing P, the box is bigger, so it's applied, but the icon is not being updated. I think we need to call something else. There is something to call when you modify an icon, I think. Or maybe there is no built-in way of modifying the icon and you have to do it manually. I think that's it. So you need to modify the base icon manually by doing something like this. Base icon, we're going to choose something else. and we're going to revert that modification when we remove if we ever remove the modifier. So if I press P, it's now changing the icon as well. So I'm capturing the other player for a duration, and it's updating, and it updated my icon. And maybe we can say that Wololo is actually costing 80 mana, for instance. So when I cast it, oh, it's not consuming my mana. Why is it not? Mana cost 80. Mana cost, where is it being used? Get mana cost, met cost list. We are finding the mana on our character. Does our character have mana? Yes, it does. But we have 50 mana actually. So we should not be even. It should not be possible to actually trigger that skill. So that's quite strange. Can take action, yes, I maybe can. Trying to trigger the skill event. Trying to start the skill. Can I use the skill? Is it available? Can I spend the cost? It's quite strange actually. Maybe we are just never spending the costs. I think that must be it. We are consuming the resources there when we trigger the start effects, when receiving a valid notify. And maybe in Wololo, maybe we are never actually calling a start effect in Furious Blow. That's quite strange. We actually are. So consume resources is actually doing this, and I'm sure we are passing through this because we are actually triggering the cooldown. So consume costs. What is not working? So something there is not working. So we are not looping through that, but I'm sure we are arriving there. Yep. So the cost list length might be empty. How much costs do we have? We have 0 costs. So there is something wrong with how I set up the cost list. Okay. Cost list, make cost list and get cost list. What do we do here? Cost list like this. So we are actually never setting our cost list, I think. Set active list metrics. Cost. Yep, we are setting this up in their cost make array. We are making an empty array there. In our cost list of Wololo, we want to make cost list in there. And we want to hit play, and it's still not working. We want to spend the mana cost. Oh, I know why it's not working, because we need to be calling the set active skill metrics before we actually we need to set our montage skill metrics before. Yep, and now we are consuming and we cannot trigger the skill. And we are slowly regenerating our mana, stamina actually. And now the possession talent is actually going to update costs. We are actually going to update the costs, modify costs, add cost modifier. I will finally make it like this. And we need to make the cost list, make array. We are actually going to remove we are going to say that the skill has no cost anymore when we learn the talents. So we cannot use the skill, but if I press P, it's going to modify the skill, and I can use the skill once again. And on client, what does it do? Oh, our skills are all messed up, so that's a bug I need to fix. I'm not sure why. It should never fail to spawn the skills properly. So I cannot use the skill anymore, and if I press P, I can do this. What I meant by spawning the skill properly, I meant spawning the skill in the right order. It should always spawn the skill in the right order. So I'm not sure why it bugged. So we added a skill modifier to our skill and we reverted some of the scripted changes, but we are actually never going to remove the skill, remove the modifier if we use the networked modifier feature, because this is just for adding them permanently. You cannot remove a modifier you added by using this. But you might be using passive skills or status, which can remove a modifier they apply. So in here, really the limit is what you can build manually and automatically by building systems in your skill that supports modifying stuff like this. Maybe you have a number of projectile system which is built in all of your skills, and you can use that here to create modifiers that can be applied to any skill that spawn projectiles, for instance, or I don't know. The possibilities are really endless in here. So it's going to wrap up the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.